He came to them in the dead of night, his wings beating silently as he descended onto the worn wooden dock. The lake's surface rippled once, twice, and was still, as if it too had been waiting for this moment. The villagers, huddled in their small, rusting trailers, sensed the shift in the air, a disturbance in the fabric of their mundane lives. They emerged slowly, drawn by the flutter in their chests, the thrum of excitement that accompanied the winged man's arrival. He stood tall, his feathers ruffled by the lake's breeze, his eyes burning bright as stars. The villagers approached cautiously, their eyes drinking in the sight of him, their whispered murmurs weaving into a gentle hum. Among them was Amelia, her dark hair tangled from sleep, her eyes fixed on the winged man with a mixture of wonder and trepidation. She felt the weight of her grandmother's stories, whispered in hushed tones by the fire, echoing through her mind. They come for the dreamers, the ones who still hold onto the threads of magic. The winged man's gaze swept across the crowd, his eyes lingering on each face as if searching for something or someone. Amelia felt his attention settle on her, and her heart quickened, a shiver coursing down her spine. For an instant, they were the only two people in the universe, connected by an unseen thread. Then his gaze moved on, leaving her breathless and wondering. The villagers parted as the winged man strode towards the lone figure standing at the edge of the crowd. It was old Joseph, his eyes clouded by cataracts, his hands clenched into gnarled fists. The winged man reached out a hand, and old Joseph grasped it, his eyes fluttering closed as if in prayer. A low hum began to vibrate through the air, like the distant thrumming of a harp string. The villagers swayed, entranced, as the winged man's wings unfolded, their span casting a shadow that enveloped the gathered crowd. Amelia felt herself being drawn closer, the hum growing louder, more insistent, until she was certain she could feel the pulse of the winged man's heart, beating in time with her own. The air was alive with an electric tension, the villagers' faces upturned, their eyes closed, as if drinking in the radiance that emanated from the winged man. Amelia felt herself being pulled towards him, her feet moving of their own accord, until she stood beside old Joseph, her hand reaching out to grasp the winged man's free hand. The hum reached a crescendo, the sound vibrations palpable, like a living entity wrapping itself around them. The world narrowed to the three of them, suspended in a bubble of time, as the winged man's wings began to glow, a soft luminescence that spread from the feathers, enveloping Amelia and old Joseph in its gentle light. In that instant, Amelia saw visions. The lake's secrets revealed, the whispers of the water and the wind, the ancient magic that slumbered beneath the surface. She saw the threads that bound the villagers, the hidden patterns that connected them all, the dreams they had forgotten how to dream. And in the winged man's eyes, she saw the promise of flight, of transcendence, of soaring above the mundane, into the realm of the unknown. The light from the winged man's wings enveloped them, a warm, golden glow that seemed to seep into Amelia's very marrow. She felt her consciousness expanding, her mind unfolding like a lotus flower, as the visions intensified, threatening to overwhelm her. The hum had grown so loud it was almost deafening, a cacophony of sound that was both beautiful and terrifying. Old Joseph's eyes snapped open, his gaze locking onto the winged man's, and in that instant, Amelia saw the transfer of knowledge, the passing of secrets from one keeper to another. The old man's eyes flashed with a fierce light, as if the weight of centuries had been laid upon him, and he nodded once, twice, his hands tightening around the winged man's. The glow reached a blinding intensity, and Amelia felt herself being lifted, her feet leaving the ground, as the winged man's wings began to beat in slow, rhythmic strokes. The villagers, still entranced, seemed to fade into the background, becoming mere silhouettes against the bright, shimmering light. Amelia felt the rush of wind in her face, the lake's surface rushing up to meet her, as the winged man bore her and old Joseph upwards into the realm of the unknown. They pierced the mist that shrouded the lake, the winged man's wings beating in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. Amelia felt her stomach plummet as they soared above the treetops, the world unfurling below them like a tapestry woven from water and stone. The villagers' upturned faces grew smaller, smaller, until they were mere pinpricks of light, lost in the vast expanse of the lake's darkness. The winged man banked and turned, his wings tilting them into a steep climb, the wind whipping Amelia's hair back and forth. She felt the rush of exhilaration, the world narrowing to the thrum of the winged man's wings, the drumbeat of his heart, and the keening cry of the wind. They burst through a veil of cloud, and the stars exploded above them, a celestial showcase of glittering diamonds scattered across the velvet blackness. Amelia's breath caught in her throat as the winged man took them higher, the world shrinking to a tiny, perfect sphere, suspended in the infinite. In this weightless, timeless moment, Amelia knew the winged man's secret, that the boundaries between reality and dream were but a whispered promise, a whispered secret, waiting to be uncovered. The stars wheeled above them, a great, slow dance of light and shadow, as the winged man's wings beat in a slow, sonorous rhythm. Amelia felt herself becoming one with the cosmos, her essence unraveling like a thread pulled from a tapestry, as the winged man's heart beat in time with her own. In this realm of weightless wonder, old Joseph's eyes locked onto hers, and Amelia saw the ancient wisdom etched upon his face, the lines and creases a topography of secrets kept and stories untold. The old man's hands, gnarled and twisted as the roots of an ancient tree, grasped the winged man's, a conduit for the secrets that flowed between them. The winged man's gaze, bright as a supernova, locked onto Amelia's, and in that instant, she knew the depth of his power. To weave the threads of fate, to orchestrate the music of the spheres, to call forth the hidden patterns that govern the universe. The hum, that persistent, thrumming note, had become a celestial choir, a hymn to the infinite and the eternal. As one, they hurtled towards the event horizon, the point of no return, where the fabric of reality grew thin and frayed, and the very fabric of the universe was about to unravel,